All right, let's dive into something that I think a lot of us experience, but maybe don't have a name for. We're going to break down the science behind what's known as hyperfocus. You know this feeling, right? You sit down to do one quick thing, just fire off a single email, and then you kind of blink. Suddenly, hours have passed, your coffee's gone cold, and someone's been calling your name for 5 minutes. You were completely, totally, 100% in the zone. So what is that? Are you just, a really hard worker? Or is there something else, something deeper, happening inside your brain? Well, it turns out psychology has a pretty fascinating answer for this. It's not just about discipline. It's a very real, very specific state of mind. And that state, you guessed it, is called hyperfocus. It's the real, scientific reason the world just seems to melt away when you're deeply absorbed in something. But what does that actually mean? Well, people often call this being in a flow state. You can kind of think of flow as the ultimate peak experience of hyperfocus. It's that amazing mental gear where you're not just concentrating. No, you are completely and utterly immersed. But what's so interesting to me are the ways this shows up, the signs you might not even realize are connected to it. So let's talk about the first sign, and it's a big one. It's that whole "where did the hours go" thing. This is probably the most classic telltale sign that you have just been in a state of hyperfocus. And I mean that quite literally. It's not that you're just choosing to ignore the clock. When you are deep in that flow state, the parts of your brain that are in charge of processing the passage of time, they actually just power down. And the why behind this is just brilliant. See, your brain is all about efficiency. It knows you're working on something complex and it makes a call. It decides, you know what? Keeping track of minutes right now is a waste of energy. We're going to redirect all that power to solving this problem. It's a strategic move to pour every last resource into the task at hand. Okay, on to sign number 2. Have you ever been deep in thought and someone just taps you on the shoulder and you practically jump out of your chair? Or you feel this sudden, almost crazy flash of irritation? Well, there's a very, very good reason for that feeling. Yeah, this really breaks it down. When you're in that hyper-focused state, you've essentially built this beautiful, intricate palace of thoughts in your mind. All the connections are there, it's all humming along perfectly. An interruption isn't just a pause, it's like a wrecking ball that smashes the whole thing to pieces. That feeling of frustration, that's your brain screaming about the enormous effort it's going to take to rebuild that entire mental structure from scratch. And that brings us to our third sign, the problem that just won't leave you alone. This is when your focus gets so intense that the off switch seems to break, even after you've stopped working. Normally, with standard focus, you can put things in boxes. You work on something, hit a dead end, and you can just set it aside for later. But in a state of hyperfocus, as you can see here, that problem grabs onto you and does not let go. You're thinking about it in the shower, while you're driving, and yep, you might even wake up at 3 a.m. with it buzzing in your head. Your brain is still working on it whether you want it to or not. So when you look at all these signs together, it becomes pretty clear, right? These aren't just random quirks or some kind of flaw. They're actually indicators of a really unique and powerful way your brain is wired. It's all part of your own personal cognitive signature. So let's just wrap up the big ideas here. Losing track of time, that's not a flaw. That's your brain hitting peak performance. Getting super irritated when you're interrupted, that's not you being grumpy. It's your brain reacting to a massive system crash. And that problem that keeps you up at night, that's just the engine of your hyperfocus refusing to power down. And really, this all leads to one final, really powerful thought. Once you understand these signs, you can stop seeing them as bugs in your programming. They're not. They're a feature. It's a built-in ability that lets you do incredibly deep, meaningful work. So the question isn't about getting rid of it. The real question is, now that you know what it is, how are you going to use it?